Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is how to actually stick to your budget. So ever since I moved out on my own and started college, I always had a budget for myself, and I kind of just winged it and made it up and have made it up as I gone. But I know that it can be incredibly difficult to actually stick to your budget every month. I always find myself overspending in some sort of way, whether it be a bill that's higher than I expected, or spending too much on food, or having something come up that I didn't plan on having happen. You know, there can be a number of reasons why you're not sticking to your budget. So I've started implementing a few things into my budget to try to help manage my budget and make that less likely to happen. Because if you go over budget, you're either putting money on a credit card or you're taking money from another bucket in your budget to cover it. And it can really just kind of mess some things up. So the goal of a budget is to help you prevent overspending and to help kind of create balance within your budget and make sure that all of your bills and necessities are covered. So it's really important to actually be able to stick to that budget. So my first tip for you is to find a style that works for you. If you go onto Pinterest, you can find hundreds of different blog posts about different styles of budgeting. You know, there's the 50-30-20 method. There's the Dave Ramsey percentage categories of how you should do your budget. There's like the 2-column budget. There's just a multitude of different types of budgets and budgeting styles. And there's no right or wrong way to do a budget. And you know, one budget style might work a lot better for you than another. And it's just a matter of trial and error and figuring out which style really helps you stick to your budget and works the best for your situation. So make sure that if you're getting into budgeting, take the time to try out different types of budgeting, try out different styles of budgeting, and find one that really works best for your situation. The next one is to plan for the unexpected. One of the biggest reasons of going over budget is because something comes up that you weren't expecting. So having an emergency fund will definitely help with this, because if something unexpected comes up, like your car breaking down, then you can pull from your emergency savings account. Another way that you can do this that I like to do is have a miscellaneous category. So I like to put pretty much whatever extra I have after my entire budget's done into a miscellaneous category. So usually that's between like $25 and $50 for the month. So that's like if last minute, like somebody wants to go out to dinner, or something small and unexpected comes up that I need to spend money on, or maybe I forgot somebody's birthday that I need to give a gift for, or whatever comes up, I just have like that $25 to $50 that will cover those like small minor things. And then I still have my emergency fund in case something major happens as well. But being able to cover those unexpected expenses will definitely help you stick to your budget. The next thing is to keep your budget somewhere where you can see it. If you write it in a notebook and never look at it again for the rest of the month, then it's not going to help you. You're making a budget so that you can stick to a budget. So you need to be aware of it, you need to see it, and you need to know how much you have set aside for each category. So if you want to write it out and put it on your fridge, you can do that. Keep it in like your planner if you always have your planner with you. I personally like to put it in a Google document. Actually it's a spreadsheet. So I have it in a Google spreadsheet so that I can access it from my phone anywhere. And then I can also easily input the amounts that I've spent and help me keep track that way. But this is again finding a system that works for you, but just make sure that you have your budget out so that you can see it and you're constantly reminded of what your budget is, and it's not like a set it and forget it kind of a thing. The next thing is to track your spending. One of the reasons that we always go over budget is because we overspend on some sort of category, whether that be grocery shopping or, you know, regular shopping or eating out or whatever that may be. Food tends to be the biggest problem for me with overspending. But if you're tracking your spending, you can start to see what categories you're overspending the most on, and then you can reevaluate your budget based on that. So you can either decide I just need to start being more mindful and start cutting back, Or you can start saying like, oh, I just haven't budgeted enough of money into this pocket, and so I need to start budgeting an extra 50 or 100 bucks each month into this category so that I can stop overspending in this category. But you're not going to know those things unless you start tracking your spending. And you can do that in multiple ways. Like, I know some financial advisors recommend that you like keep a little pocketbook with you, and then every single time you spend something, you write it down. Personally, that's way too much effort for me, so every week or two, I'll go into my Google spreadsheet and I'll just check all of my bank accounts and see where all my spending is, and then add it to my Google spreadsheet where my budget is, and just add it to that. The next thing is to adjust your budget every single month. So our lives change from month to month, our spending changes from month to month, and different things come up month to month. So it's really unrealistic to assume that you can just create one budget and just copy it over for every single month, because that's not always the case. You know, sometimes you're going to have somebody's birthday come up during a month, or maybe you're going on a trip the next month, or maybe you have something going on the next month that you need to be mindful of. So every single month you should be recreating your budget. I mean, they should be mostly the same, but there are going to be some things that change different. Even some of your bills might change, like your electric bill or your water bill might change month to month depending on the season. So it's important to be mindful of that so that you're putting enough money in that specific category to cover that amount. Next, it's important to remember that it's the unfixed amounts that usually throw you off. So, I mean, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, my rent is the same every single month. My car payment is the same every month. You have those consistent bills that are the same, but the things that are going to create overspending for you is your fund money, your grocery bill, your gas, those things that kind of fluctuate every month. So it's important when you track your expenses to track those, track the trends that you tend to have with those so that you can be more mindful and slowly start refining your budget for those categories to make them as realistic as possible and as close to the amount as possible. And that's only going to come with time and getting better idea of how you spend and when you spend and all of that. And the last tip is to plan your budget for each paycheck. This is something I've started doing recently because I think it's pretty frequent for us to make a monthly budget, but realistically, things don't always align with a monthly budget. And if you get paid bi-weekly like I do, then 2 months out of the year you get an extra paycheck because there's 52 weeks in a year. You get 26 paychecks, and if you're just counting by the months, you would only assume that you would get 24 paychecks instead of 26. So 2 months out of the year you're gonna have 3 paycheck months, and it's important to be mindful of those months because you're still going to need groceries during that time. You're still going to need to get gas maybe. Like if you have certain things that you budget for like for every other week, you're going to need to be mindful of that because you're still going to need that. It's not just like a complete extra paycheck that you can just spend on whatever. So it's important to be mindful of those bi-weekly paychecks and start categorizing your budget based on those paychecks so that you also know that you can afford your bills based on the paycheck. So like for me, like when I pay my rent, that takes up the majority of that 2 weeks paycheck. So the other bills that I have to put on that are much smaller. Whereas like my other paycheck is more of like my everything bills paycheck because it doesn't consume the majority of my paycheck. I hope this is making sense because I feel like I'm just rambling right now. But basically, it's really beneficial if you can budget per paycheck, because that's going to help you see where your spending is and make sure that you don't overspend for one paycheck or another. And I'm going to stop talking now because I'm feeling like I'm getting loopy. But I hope that all these tips have helped you out. If you've been struggling with your budget, please try at least some of these tips because I'm pretty sure that they will help you out as well. And I hope that I get to see you guys in the next video. Bye.